the story just feels like there's just a depth to it, and I feel like it's talking about creativity in this really interesting way. So I don't know if you just want to give me a little book talk about it, and then we can go from there, because I really don't have a question for you.
It's funny that you brought it up, because I think you're probably the first person that has brought up the idea of creativity. I mean, it is. Well, I guess I should say I sensed in your question that there was more to it than what I felt other people perceived it to be. Now it's and
the thing is, I could be talking to you and you might not have had anything to do with that at all. It might not have been what you were thinking about, but because you left like these gaps in there and you left this open space, I can bring all my junk to it and love it in a completely different way.
No, there's so many. Actually, there's a lot of levels to Beekle that are in there that I'll have an interview with somebody and I'll probably only talk about one of the many ideas that I had with it. And the popular, or the answer I most give to people is that this is a personal one. The story is about, it's a metaphor about the birth of my son.
Okay.
And so Beekle, it's this journey about meeting this person that you've never met before, but in your mind, you've kind of concocted all these ideas of what the person might be like. And I love this because I've seen people mention about the spread where he's building the ship, and in his mind, he's picturing this boy that's winning all these awards, and he's thinking to himself, well, maybe this kid's just so busy being awesome that he just hasn't had time to imagine me yet, you know? And as the story goes on, I really played on the idea of the function of an imaginary friend. And so part of the reason why Beekle's white is because he was supposed to represent a blank sheet of paper. He was supposed to be, like, if you go through the entire book, he's the only thing in the book that is purely white. And it's just kind of this, I don't know, it's a representative of, like the possibility of creation, like what do you do with a blank sheet of paper? And then, as the story goes on, I didn't want Beekle to be too obvious in his design. So when he was originally drawn, he did look like a piece of paper, but I didn't want it to be obvious. And so, I kind of gave him this blobby little feature. And now the other metaphors, the other ideas that came from this was because Alice, the character in the book, because Beekle's friendship is the device for the story. In other words, what you find out in the end of the story is that she has been writing the story of how they met. Like that's
right.
That's the connection that they have in their friendship, is that she is an artist, she is a writer, and she wrote this story about how she met her imaginary friend, which to me, I thought, you have all these kids that, I like to fly a kite, so my friend will be the wind and stuff like that. But then you have this girl that's so imaginative, so creative, that she wrote a story about how she met her imaginary friend. It's like it's an ode to creativity. And at one point there was one of the earlier drafts of the book was that Alice represented the author of the book and Beekle represented the illustrator of the book. Huh. And it's about how two people come together to tell a story. And so that's why they meet under a tree, and the tree is, this symbol for, paper.
Sure.
And so that's the other thing that I felt like you were hinting at in terms of like creativity. It's like, you have the artist, you have the illustrator, they come together, they make a book, and it becomes this beautiful thing that they share, which is why in the back end papers, it's so important that the two are holding the book together, because it's this thing that they've made, And then, at the end of the book, and this was something that my editor was really intrigued with, was, like maybe Beekle could be something more than just that filling of the void of her imagination and loneliness. Maybe it gives her strength, and that's how we came up with the idea that Beekle kind of gives her the security and the courage to go out and meet new people. You know, it's this nod to creativity and saying, you know, like, if you have these interests and they speak really loudly, then you're going to find other people, you know, out there who are like you.